All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to work on the Crown Vic here. This is more of a daily than it is anything else. I'm not going to do anything else with it other than maintain it and make sure it's reliable. And on that note, I did purchase some shocks and struts for it. And today, with it being in the 30s at night, sometimes the 40s during the day, today we have a beautiful day. It's almost 50 degrees, so it's a little chilly. Got a couple hours of daylight left. I had to do a bunch of honeydews around the house, and so I'm a little late getting started on this. So let's see what we got. We're just going to work on some shocks today, and let's unbox these shocks and struts that I got from Rock Auto. All right, well, let me bring you in here and we'll open this up together. Huh, looks like my trunk leaks. We had one heck of a storm over the last couple of days. So everything is soaked, muddy, horrible. Can't do much of anything around the yard. But we're gonna try and get this done. Of course, I didn't bring my knife out here with me, so we struggle a little bit with it. Okay, let's see what we got. I guess this is a shock. So that's a Monroe shock that I got from Rock Auto, and I got a couple of quick struts also from Monroe, I believe. I got them quite a while ago, and they've been sitting in the trunk. So let's see if we can take a look at these. All right. This is the way to go when you're doing struts. Rather than trying to get those darn springs off and risking knocking your head off with them, it's not a whole lot more just to get the whole thing. So that's what I did. So let's open this up, see what we got. Hopefully there's some hardware. There is. There's some hardware, the washers and the bushings. Is there a nut on there? Yes, there's a nut in the bag. Looks like it's not the same size as what's on the car now. I don't know that this car has ever had shocks replaced. Whoa, those are some serious shocks. Well, there wasn't a picture when I bought them, but those are some nice looking shocks, if I do say so myself. I mean, this is just a plastic cover. The shock itself is significant, and it's got a coil spring helper. Nice. Nice. They weren't terribly expensive, so I didn't really expect anything other than just your standard everyday shock. So we'll just throw everything around here. Let's see. Wow, all right, came with the spacers. These spacers seem like they're one's larger than the other, which I don't believe is the case in the car. But they did say that this is for the application that I have. So there we are. I brought the jack out already. Let me get this thing lifted up, the wheel off, and we'll go from there. All right, well, I got a little bit of it done off camera because, you know, it's kind of boring watching somebody jack up the car and take the wheel off. Everybody's done that. So here we are. This is the new Monroe. This is the old one. And when I got the top nut off, the axle dropped down a bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hardware on here with the new shock on, lift it up, put the wheel on with a couple of lug nuts, lower it down a bit as I guide the top into the hole there. I don't think that's the way you're supposed to do it, but so they give you instructions, and rarely do I have to refer to them, but this is in multiple languages. It says there's your brake, there's your bolt, there's your nut, and those are your spacers, and this is how they're oriented. So that's what we'll do. Let me mess with this a little bit. I can also see that my sway bar bushings are not that great, so that might be something I'll do in the near future, is replace those. I might put an aftermarket sway bar in because that one's about a 1/2 inch in diameter. And the whole reason I decided to do shocks is because the rear end, you just go over a little bit of a bump and it felt like you were hitting hard. And okay, so the bushing in here is shot. So I would imagine the bushing up there is shot. I haven't looked at the ones down here. And the reason I know that is because you can see that the bolt is not centered on the bushing, so there's probably not much of a bushing left in there. Anywho's, so that's what I'll do. I'll take care of this, get it jacked up. I have another little portable jack and a bottle jack. I also have the scissor jack for this. I might put the bottom on, use the scissor jack, jack it up. That way I can do it. I can guide this in with the wheel off and then make it easy. So let me get this all set up, okay, and I'll come back once I got it put together. All right, well, there we go. These spacers were a little bit tight, so I had to use my lightweight persuader and just tap them in, tap the bolt in, get it to this side, tap this in, tap the bolt in, then put the nut on. You know, it made a 2-minute job into a 10-minute job. Not too bad. So I think lifting this up, even if I didn't have to, based on the way it sat, I think I would have to based on the length of the shock, because this needed to be compressed a little bit to get this on. So I didn't compress them too much, but certainly enough to be firm. I have a feeling that these shocks are going to lift the rear end of the car up a bit. And I know that eventually I'm going to have to get in here and replace these bushings. I'll probably get these arms cheaper than I get just the bushings. So that will be a project for another day. Yeah, because I can already tell that since I jacked up the rear end, this arm is not sitting where it was with the weight off the axle. So yeah, these are shot. This is a 2004 Crown Vic. I doubt that anything back here has been replaced. I don't think the shocks have even been replaced. I think it's all stock stuff. So the hardware that came with it worked. The shocks look good. They are tight up against the frame, but there should be no movement in here, so it shouldn't cause any problems. So we'll see. We'll try them. These are the Monroes 550055, and I ordered them for a 2004 Crown Vic. So we'll see. These springs will help, especially with a little bit of wheel hop, but they won't do a whole lot to fix this problem and probably that problem on both sides, and the fact that I've got a 1/2 inch sway bar. Projects for another day when I get my shop and lift built, because this vehicle is basically getting me to the to the place that I'm going to park it when I take an Uber to the airport and have to leave it for 3 months at a time. So I'm paying $60 a month to park this thing when I only park it for half the year. But to get closer to the airport, it's $160 a month. So I think I'm ahead. The big deal with that is that Ubers don't always come out here where we are. So I don't want to play hit and miss with getting a ride to the airport. So here we are. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to put this side back together, do the other side real quick, because it should be real quick since I've done this side and familiar with it a little bit more. We'll get that done, and then I'll come back and we'll see how it sits, maybe go for a little ride. Well, there we are. We're all done. Tools put away, things are cleaned up. Unusual for me. And this is how it rides. Well, this is how it sits right now. I'm going to take it for a little ride. And it doesn't look like it's any higher, but it does seem like it's got a bit more play. I don't know. We'll have to check it out. We'll go for a ride here in just a minute. Let me wash my hands and we'll go see what it feels like. All right, well, I think it sits a little high for me, but let's take it for a little drive and see if it feels any better. Then when we get back, I want to check the transmission fluid. And see how that's doing. Do some regular just maintenance. So let's see. This road here, this is not a road actually, this is my driveway. This is not too bumpy, so hard to tell. Let's just go up here a little bit. It feels kind of smooth, because those little rough spots in the road before, you could really feel them. You can hear them now, but you don't feel them. We'll get her up to operating temperature. That way when I get back, I can check the transmission fluid. But you can enjoy a little bit of scenery out here in central Tennessee. It's actually quite beautiful, especially in the fall. All the trees are changing colors. It's awesome. We were able to get back just in time for the trees to change. They had had a bit of a drought, and the day after we got here, the rains came. Boy, the other night we had a significant rain. It was huge. I mean, it was a torrential downpour for sure. The thing about this car is it does tend to float a bit. But I will say that right now, even trying to make it do that, it doesn't. No. So I think the new shocks have made a difference. I would hope so for what they cost. Yeah, you don't feel any bump at all when the rear hits. The front, that's a different story. I'm going to say that shocks and struts were probably never replaced. It certainly wasn't on the history that I got on the car. They gave me a printout, but that history was only after about 70,000 miles or so, because they had changed companies doing the maintenance on the vehicles apparently, and all they had was a cost analysis. So I'm going to say that the shocks are original and the struts, and they certainly haven't been replaced in the last 35,000 miles. So I think we did the right thing. Put on a new set of shocks in the back. I've got a set of strut assembly with the spring already in it, and I don't recommend anybody doing that. You can rent the tools from your major auto parts stores. They'll basically sell you the tool, and then when you bring it back, you get your money back. It's a rental at zero cost. So I wouldn't do it. Those springs are deadly. They'll take your head right off. So spend a couple bucks extra, get the spring assembly, the strut assembly already assembled, and all you have to do is pull the wheel, relieve the tension on the front end, unbolt it, bolt the new one in, and you're good to go, and you're not risking death. That's what I'm going to do, but it's near the end of the day, and I'm supposed to have somebody coming over this evening to visit. A friend from work from long ago. And so there we are. Yes, it does ride better. I do believe it does ride better. It's not got that clunk in the rear end. However, those bushings and those, I think it's a 4-link, they're shot. They're absolutely shot. So they will be replaced once I get my shop and my lift, because I'm not doing that in the driveway, I don't think. We'll see. We will see. So let me get back in. I do appreciate all of y'all watching. It really helps out the channel if you like and subscribe. Makes a huge difference to the channel. And I really appreciate all of your support. The new subscribers, we're getting a new subscriber every once in a while, and I think that's fantastic. All I'm going to do now is check the transmission fluid, make sure we're good to go, because like I said, this car is going to be one taking me to the next town, which is halfway to the airport, about 35 miles or so. Then it's going to get parked, and it'll sit there for a couple of months until I come back.